what's up guys, girls, and everybody in between? It's Steven from Mecha Puma. And today we're going to be talking about none other than PK Russell himself, also known as Parker, also known as that one guy who posted news for minors to see. Isn't that fantastic? I just love when people do that. I love when I get my timeline spammed with fucking balls from a YouTuber that I used to look up to. That's fantastic. Yeah, obviously, yeah. Ball review. Before we start this, I just want to mention that whoever can find the second dick in this picture, by the way, trigger warning about this, I did censor this, but whatever. Whoever can find the second dick in this picture gets a pinned comment, because this is going to take a lot of skill. Now, obviously, there's one that's censored, but there's one that's uncensored, and I want you to look very carefully. Now, it might not look like a dick at first, but it definitely is. Just type your answer in the comment section down below. I'll definitely get back to you, and if you're right, well then congratulations, you get a pinned comment. Before we start this, I don't want to slander PK Russell / Parker in any way. I'm just simply voicing my opinion on this dude, and I think a lot of what he does is messed up and creepy. And just some of what he does is just downright selfish. That's for me to get into in this video. This is a really weird intro. It's the weirdest intro I've ever done personally, talking about dicks and stuff and circling, whatever. Other than this fucking circle jerk of information, hopefully you guys, girls, and everybody in between do enjoy this video, and if you do like it, feel free to subscribe or recommend somebody else I should do in the comment section down below. Once again, this is like not meant to ruin anybody's career or anything. It's just a little bit of fun, just poking some fun, but also giving some constructive criticism. Hopefully you guys, girls, and everybody in between enjoy this video. See you in the outro. Adios, hasta la pasta. So I would first like to start off with the first straw, because I feel like that's a pretty good place to start. Now, once again, my intentions with this video aren't to slander him or anything like that. So the first thing I would like to address is what I like to call the first straw, is when he defended Kiro the Wolf. I'm well aware that Kiro the Wolf, at the time, was kind of presumably innocent. I guess. Maybe if you're a little bit autistic like me, I don't know. I mean, at the time I thought there was a small possibility, but the more he dug into it, the more I'm like, yeah, this guy is probably guilty. And he just didn't seem to really get that. And that kind of worried me for a number of reasons. Number one, he has a lot of influence, and he had a lot of influence back then. He might have actually arguably had a lot more influence back then. Not trying to like diss anybody on views or anything, that's like super low down. I'm just like trying to point out like kind of the scale of it. So basically what he did was Kiro the Wolf kind of raped animals. So that's not really cool, you know, we don't really like to do that here on planet Earth, or like, you know, anywhere, because rape is not cool if you didn't know that. And I'm not like Parker, so I won't censor these words. Oh my god, stop censoring words, who cares? Put your fucking money. Anyway, basically he also followed this up by saying that cub porn is perfectly fine, and if you don't know what this is, then I'm really sorry to inform you that it's basically underage stuff, but it's cartoon drawings, so I guess technically it isn't illegal, although it is, in my opinion, definitely on the fence a little bit. By that I mean on the really spiky part, like when you sit down it goes right up your butt. That shouldn't be alright, but it's kind of a legal loophole, I guess. Basically encourages pedophilia in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's opinions it does as well. But yeah, he was basically caught saying, oh yeah, that's fine. And by caught, I mean he kind of just publicly announced it. Now see, the worst part about this, I cannot find the video where he says this. I think he deleted it personally. There's a ton of uploads that he either deleted or unlisted, privated, that kind of stuff, or shoved up his ass somewhere. I don't fucking know where he put that stuff. I don't want to know, actually, now that I really think about it. I mean, this dude probably has an entire folder full of porn. This is the guy we're talking— wait, actually, he legit does. And that's not even the iceberg, and that shouldn't be an insult, because porn isn't bad as itself. I mean, it is bad for your sex life, I've heard. What I'm trying to say is that he has some mega suspicious sexual stuff going on, and that was the first straw where I wanted to like the guy. He seems pretty likable in real life, I'm not actually gonna lie. He's funny, I know that. At least half his videos are funny to me. Like, I've watched his stuff, and I've thoroughly enjoyed some of his videos. This isn't some hater trying to hate on him. He's direct competition to me, but I mean, as much as, yeah, I would like to say, oh, I don't care, there is some bias, of course. I mean, obviously, everybody always thinks of themselves as the hero of the story. I mean, it's gonna happen, right? Oh, I'm wiping my nose. Oh shit, why does it itch so much? It didn't itch before this, and now it does. But yes, I just thought it was mega suspicious that after all that proof came out, he still managed to defend Kiro. Kinda strange. I mean, he made a few good points, like, oh, you know, nobody's talking about all the other people in this group, and this is actually, you know, real life footage. Yeah, but why would you want to get yourself involved in that? This is kind of just the tip of the iceberg, like I mentioned earlier. There's a lot more stuff that is definitely more sinister than this. Now, to get into even more detail about this, we're going to have to visit a website called Ink Bunny, which I actually had never heard of until, well, yesterday. I literally just started conducting research a few days ago. I never even heard of Ink Bunny till yesterday. And yes, take this with a million grains of salt, because these people on kiwi farms are pretty much the people who have this evidence. Not exactly sure if it's legitimate. It looks legitimate, but then again, please take it with a grain of salt, and this is definitely not the best evidence I have as to how messed up this kind of thing gets. What I'm talking about is kind of PK Russell and his like whole mentality and fan base and all that stuff. You'll see what I mean by later in this video. But anyway, I'm basically talking about Ink Bunny, this website where you can post art. It's like DeviantArt, only kind of more incognito undercover. It's not more private, but less people use it to my knowledge. I'm pretty much just assuming that because I haven't heard it. Probably really biased in that standard, but I just have never heard of this website, to put it short. But he basically tried to hide his account after apparently a whole entire folder of underage porn came out. So isn't that fantastic? But it wasn't illegal technically because it was cartoon furry porn. But it had minors in it apparently, and a lot of them. I mean, damn, he's a musician, proven that in one of his videos, but I didn't know he liked minors that much, god damn. But in all reality, if that wasn't creepy enough, his account suspiciously disappeared. It just kind of vanished into thin air a couple days later. And according to the people on this Kiwi Farms thing, it takes 2 days approximately to remove an account from there. Therefore, it can be best assumed that right when that information was leaked, he automatically sought to delete it, and he tried his best to hide everything. A little bit suspicious. Why would you just try to delete something without any further notice? And he tried to claim, oh, it wasn't me, and then he finally was like, yeah, that was me. But there's nothing wrong with it. So I guess when it's somebody else, there's something wrong with it, but when it's him, there's nothing wrong with it. It's interesting. I make mistakes. He makes mistakes. I feel like we all make mistakes around here. Kind of a human thing. Every single day I wake up, and I kind of am a walking mistake, because I make mistakes all day, every day. But it's really hard to make a mistake kind of that weird and just out there. Like, gotta wonder what's going on in this guy's head. And that brings me to my next point, which isn't exactly his mentality yet, but is more his content. Now, before we actually make judgments on who the hell Parker is, I would like to say that content doesn't always equal what a creator is thinking in their head. I know I've gotten content out there that's way different than I would have ever imagined it being. Some of it I got such backlash for, I actually spent time crying in my room. Like, I'm not actually lying. I remember waking up to, like, death threats and stuff, or maybe one death threat, and it wasn't even that bad looking back on it, but I was just a little pussy-ass bitch! But no, in all reality, everybody makes mistakes, like I keep saying. Even Hannah Montana makes mistakes. Wait, no she doesn't. Yes, she does. Pretty much his content is very iffy in my opinion. It's a hit or miss. I guess I never miss, huh? That was bad, I'm so sorry. A lot of his content kind of lacks substance. It gets very boring after a while. And I'm surprised he lasted this long just with the content he's posting. And this is not meant to be some sort of sinister, oh, ha ha ha, yeah, it's my time to shine kind of thing. Because we make kind of the same kind of content. So I know somebody's probably going to think that. They're going to be like, you're just doing this for attention because you're jealous he got bigger than you. Who isn't jealous of somebody bigger than them? Of course I'm jealous, but I'm not going to take that, like, you know, jealousy out and fucking ruin his life for it. That's just low, dude. All of us are jealous of somebody. Okay, I sound super weird right now talking about jealousy. I am very off topic. His criticism and content really isn't that criticizing in my opinion. That made almost no sense. Let me explain that far better than I actually did. His content in general gets very repetitive really fast, and it's very obvious. He only has about 2 or 3 things he really does on his channel. One of those things is kind of just berate others' work. Well, I kind of do the same thing. I at least try to, like, stay kind of positive. He just goes all out. He doesn't care. I mean, that's one of the best parts of Parker and one of the worst parts of Parker. That's kind of his downfall. The second type of content he has is kind of meme content, where he just kind of does whatever the hell he wants to. And a lot of that is also his downfall, not really his uprise, believe it or not. People just kind of subscribed to him for cringe, and then he kind of delivered, but in a different way than they thought. Because the last thing you'd want from a cringe channel is for them to be delivering the cringe. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to. I'm pretty cringe. I don't lie. I don't have anything to cover up, motherfucker! And then the third type of content he has, I feel, is self-defense. Everything is about self-defense for him. Now, at first, Parker seems like he's telling the truth. The first few times it happens, you're like, yeah, I can definitely see how somebody can keep getting screwed over, especially when they're that popular. Very easy target, easy to explain. When you have like 20 or 30 videos explaining on what you didn't do wrong, it starts to look a little bit weird and damage your credibility a lot. And that's, I feel like, where his main downfall is out of all 3 of those things. His credibility is just down the drain at this point. Nobody really trusts him except for his very core audience. He angered a lot of people too. I feel like he burnt a lot more bridges than he's managed to build, and he did it so fast, it's insane. He did it in 1 upload, and that was the Has Been Hotel one. And that's another problem with his content. It's just too controversial. Whoa! Whoa, what is this? Whoa! Oh my god, oh! Whoa, that was a lot. It's time to play What Would You Do? Alright, so in a situation where somebody has a lot of bad things happening in their life, and they hurt a lot of animals and people, what would you do? Here's 2 answers. I'm really hoping that people can pick the right answer. There's 1 right answer. I'll keep it at that. A. Play victim card and pretend like nothing's wrong. Or B. Be a truthful person. And even though you made a mistake earlier, admit that maybe you might be wrong. And that maybe you assumed their innocence because you didn't have all the evidence, and that you're sorry. Now let me know if I'm wrong, but I would probably pick B. I'll let you choose up here. It's a little information panel. I didn't really have that a couple years ago when I was doing this series, so that's fucking helpful. Go check that out, answer that question. I very much appreciate a one specific answer. I'd probably appreciate B, but if you would honestly do A, maybe you're a Parker fan, you know? Maybe you have a little autism in there. I do. What would you do? You know, sometimes you gotta just look at something from another perspective, and I feel like sometimes Parker thinks of things so objectively, at least in his mind it's objective, that it's kind of impossible for him to look another direction and be like, oh, there's more to the story than just what's right ahead of me. Now, it's hard to kind of explain, but I feel like you might get the idea I'm trying to convey here. I think Parker just has a hard time seeing other people's perspectives, and I can definitely relate to that. I definitely have had my moments a lot, so I can give him some sympathy there. The only problem is how he kind of denies ever being wrong in the first place. And that's something I touched on in the other two videos that kind of had to deal with Parker, is that why do you want to cover up all this stuff? If you're wrong, you're wrong. It doesn't damage your credibility if you take responsibility for it, because a truly responsible person doesn't have anything to hide. I like to say that unveiling something is the best way of covering it up, because if people get bored of it, then what's the point? If people already know the whole story and you have nothing to hide, then why does it matter? Only people who have something really secretive to hide try to manipulate people and cover stuff up, which kind of brings me on to the third point here. This third point is pretty much just about influence. Influence in general does change people, but that's not the point. It's kind of your actions, and maybe slightly what you say that has a consequence. And in this case, you know, apparently he said the N-word, which isn't the worst, but it definitely isn't the best thing to do, just saying. I mean, that is literally asking to just be cancelled by everybody. Probably shouldn't be doing that, and I feel like he just did it for the controversy. Wants to get some attention out of that. Fair enough, right? Like a less extreme version of Jake and Logan Paul. At least he isn't quite there yet. Hopefully he doesn't go there. I mean, he's gone close, though. I mean, he's posted nudes. Once again, we'll get to that later. But he has this mob mentality kind of thing going on, where he gets everybody on his side, or at least he tries to. And when people don't get on his side, he doesn't really give up, and that's the problem with his influence. It's kind of a bad influence on kids. It kind of teaches them to be like, well, I don't want to give up my case, even if it's wrong. And it's kind of like the Donald Trump attitude, not to get political, but, you know, you can never be wrong about stuff. Really, honestly does remind me so much of that. It's actually kind of fun. Another very good point is that he constantly punches down now. Before, when he was a really small channel, he could punch up very easily. This is exactly what resulted in the downfall of so many channels. H3, Leafy, you name it. All of these channels. When they first started out, they could get away with bullying people. It really didn't affect the person as much as, you know, it does later on when they get big and actually start expanding their kind of YouTube empire. You know what I'm saying? It's like a small town. You don't really make that much of a difference. You have a lot more responsibility the bigger your channel gets. It's definitely something I hope I can keep in mind if this channel ever gets big. Probably not going to, but you get the point. But I think that Parker doesn't realize that he's punching down on people instead of punching up at this point. The animators he reviews are a lot smaller than him, versus when he first started doing this series, he was the same size. If he was bigger, he was like maybe 1,000 subs bigger, and most of the time he was actually quite smaller than the channels he was actually using to get views. So that was fine. That's legit critique. If you say something nasty, you can take it back and get little to no repercussions. Not because it's any better than if you were bigger, but because of the amount of influence you have. Pretty much what I'm trying to say is that he had less responsibilities back then, and now he has a lot more. He has to be a lot more careful. Somehow he's gotten more malicious than before. Before it was almost like a meme. It was kind of a joke. It was more chill.
Number 15.
And now he kind of takes himself too seriously. You shouldn't take yourself too seriously if you're a comedy channel. Kind of what leads to a downfall, or what kind of sparks a downfall, and pretty much admits all these terrible qualities, like, you know, actually unintentionally harassing people. Or intentionally, I'm not really sure what it is at this point. When you're punching down, it has such a big impact on who you're punching down on. It's not like the Nene, where you punch air. It's like you're hitting somebody with a weight on the top of the head. They will probably never recover from your critique, let's be honest. So pretty much, they are defined by that video you have on them. So if somebody did a critique on me and they got 1 million views, I could never surpass that. I basically wouldn't have a platform to defend myself on. It's like that's happened before, that's weird. And that's the same thing with people against him. They're just bombarded by hate. They don't have a chance. I mean, look at what happened to Mythical Red Fox. But you might as well at least fight back so that 1 or 2 people will kind of understand that, hey, you know, maybe that person was right. But in the end, it doesn't make a difference, and it ruins their career. Punching up, on the other hand, is a lot more beneficial, because not only does it make the creator realize that, hey, I'm doing something wrong, it doesn't have the power to define them by that situation and make that kind of their life. When anybody sees their face, it's all about that situation. That doesn't happen. So for example, if I ever made a critique on PewDiePie or whatever, nobody would remember PewDiePie from that one random Puma guy who fucking critiqued him. Critique? I don't know why I just said that. But if PewDiePie was somebody with 10 subscribers, and I just fucking bombarded him with all this hate, that would be how people people remembered him, right? He wouldn't be able to recover from that easily, if at all. So what I'm saying is, size matters. That was... Never mind, let's not... Oh my god. So, let's move on! When I was talking about this, I did think of something that wasn't on my list, which is manipulation. Now, I think this should be kind of section 4 of the video. Sounds like a quarantine. I am in lockdown kind of quarantine little thing. What the fuck am I saying? Yeah, you can tell I've been pent inside, can't you? But anyway, manipulation. The way Parker basically ensures a monopoly on his section of the cringe culture and his audience is to put others down. Believe it or not, that is so effective. That is more effective than anything. You could promote other people who are like you, but that doesn't work nearly as well as just tearing everybody down who has a chance of beating you. What he's done is he basically started a forest fire, and everybody in that part of the forest is screwed. But, you know, it's eventually going to catch up to him. But in the meantime, he can basically just do whatever he wants. He just profits off it. For example, look at how many drama videos he's started, right? People in the commentary community don't stand a chance when they're like half the size, if even that, of his channel. Or at least they didn't back then, when he was apparently a credible source, which I don't think he ever was. Personally, pretty much what I think he did is kind of genius. It's very, very slimy, but it's very effective, and it's hard to pick up. What he did was basically targeted one person at a time. And a lot of these times I noticed this person was rising in the community, which means that when he kind of hit them, it was like they hit a roof, they hit a ceiling, and they dropped from there. And even if they did recover, they would still be defined by that very moment, like I said before. So he manipulates his audience into thinking, oh, well, he's the best, obviously. He always wins, but he always wins because he has the most influence. He already has the platform. He has affluence and influence. That's what made him so big so fast. Not because he is literally the best commentator, or he's literally the best cringe culture YouTuber, or he's even the best YouTuber in general, or even the best person. What really got him up there is constantly winning arguments, fairly or not. Twisting the facts to make it look like he's the best person in the world, and then claiming the victim card when it fails on him. That is ultimately what really, really skyrocketed him. As horrible as it is, I don't even think he realized he was doing that. Manipulation goes both ways, believe it or not. Sometimes the person manipulating realizes it, but sometimes they really don't. And in this case, it actually seems like he doesn't realize he's even doing it, which is almost scarier. I could be wrong though, take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, actively say this is 100% true. I'm just kind of throwing my opinion around here because I think it's true myself. But make up your own damn mind, fool! In all honesty, I do really think that's how he rose up and got really popular so fast. Like me and a bunch of other people, at least I think I have good content. I hope I do. My confidence level is very high, as you can tell. But a lot of people had a level playing field with him. I remember when he was like a small champ, 15,000 subscribers. A lot bigger than I even am now, but you get the point. He played more fairly, in my opinion, but that's also because he didn't have the amount of affluence and influence. What I mean by affluence is basically that he had a rich audience, an audience that would follow him and remember him and cherish him, which is always the audience everybody kind of dreams of on YouTube, and he had that. Probably still does, actually. Basically what he did is he played Battleship, but he cheated and nobody really noticed. And it's so genius. The people from the other channels that have sunk would follow Parker because they figure, hey, well, he's a better commentator. He won a ton of arguments. He always exposes people. He's never the one that's the problem. It's just, he's so unfortunate to just run into all these assholes. But they're getting played because sometimes the person who does that is the asshole. Ever thought of that? That's why it's so genius. That's why he grew so fast, and that's why he had such a good reputation for years. But this solution is only temporary and it's not permanent. It kind of affects your longevity. In my opinion, Parker lasted longer than he should have. I realized a couple years ago that he was doing this, and a lot of other people did, but they were too afraid to say anything. Fear has a lot to do with it too. When you have power, you have influence, and you can also guarantee that somebody digs their own grave, or at least make it look like it. You can kind of frame them for something they may or may not have done. You can be dishonest, and less people will question you the more authority you have. It's kind of like a Hitler-esque move without, you know, killing 6 million people. What am I getting at here? I am so sorry. But no, in all honesty, I did mean that. It is kind of like a Nazi thing. You say you're gonna do all this stuff for other people, you make it look like you're a basically walking charity bin, and then all of a sudden you turn on everybody. That's exactly what happened here. It takes a while to realize people are being manipulated, but thank God they're starting to realize now. I admittedly was scared to say anything that bad about Parker, because guess what? If he ended up seeing that, I would get fucking demolished. I know I would have better points than him, and I know I'm a more reasonable person, at least on the internet, probably not off the internet, than he is, and I know I don't do creepy shit with kids. But he would still probably inevitably win because he has such a big influence. Keep that in mind, that's going to be important. Now you might be asking, Steven, why is that important? And how does this have to relate with anything? Hope you're not asking the second one, because that is kind of obvious. No offense, I mean, hey, like, you can ask me anything in the comments, I'll try to answer you the best I can. But for now, let's move on to the next point, which is his presence on social media. This is finally where people started to notice something's a little bit wrong here. If they didn't realize before, hey, everybody he meets for some reason's an asshole. He's not the asshole. You know, that's weird. He just happens to meet all these terrible people and happens to be exposed and hurt and harassed. Oh no! And he's not the one who starts it at all because he says so. Authority! Anyway, basically his social media presence is the equivalent of Ebola cancer, with a little bit of corona added at the top. He tweets about that a lot, by the way, I've noticed. He says he's not obsessing over it, and then he just starts fucking tweeting about it and obsessing over it. So I don't know what the fuck that's about. Back to the main point. His social media presence is nothing short of just absolute disgrace. That didn't make grammatical sense, but that's the only really term I could think of to cover that, so sorry about that. Now, if you're wondering what he did that was so bad, that was so awful, yeah, here's the picture. I'm just gonna be upfront about it and kind of show you the kind of gruesome, sickening image. Kind of looks like a woolly mammoth dying without the censored thing, though I'm not allowed to show that, and you should be glad I'm not allowed to show that. Probably wouldn't show that either way, because I wouldn't subject your eyes to such fucking sin. It's not very fun to look at, trust me, you would want it censored. Don't go looking for the full thing. He nearly vomited, nearly died, but what was even worse is how he just talks to the people who follow him. Onision would be pretty proud of this kid. He is just so flirtatious and sexual. It's really uncomfortable. And I wouldn't usually mind, because usually people like that have 18+ Twitters or something like that, and have little exclamation points and fucking cross signs, and you know you're crossing the line when there's a cross sign and an exclamation mark. I'm just saying, when there's like that hazard symbol, you know what I'm saying, right? Parker doesn't really do any of this, and he has a young audience too. Now, he wants to combat saying this by posting his stats on social media, but how the hell do you know that people are actually telling the truth about their age? Because half his videos get age restricted. It would only be convenient and make a lot more sense for people to be using either their parents' accounts or their own accounts that just claim that they're older. It makes too much sense to leave out of this equation, and in fact, I think that is what's going on. Once again, I wasn't the one to find this point. A lot of other people have found them for me, thank God, because I'm not a fucking detective. I just know how to piece things together, which is kind of like 1/8 of what a detective does. I'm like 1/8 of a detective. I have ADHD, you can probably tell now. He basically put everybody on blast saying they were wrong just because the statistics showed that so many people were over the age of 18, and for some reason 65-year-olds are apparently watching YouTube furry drama. I don't know why. Probably lying about their age. I would highly doubt some boomer would go, I want to see what Parker has to say about the world. I have a fursuit and I'm about to die. Like, I don't know. More seems like they would go, I'm gonna hunt some people at school, or something like that. Oh wait, that's this generation, sorry. So you can be edgy without being a dick. I am kind of a dick. Never mind. That's kind of... Let's move on. I'm looking bad. I can manipulate... But no, in all reality, his Twitter situation is just a fucking mess. End of story, don't go on it. The moral from this, be careful what you post, because he probably isn't gonna get employed if this YouTube thing fails. Especially if he doesn't delete the stuff really fast. But it's already out there, so he can't really delete it now, so yeah, that sucks for him. Well, I'm sure he's fine with it for some odd reason. I think the underlying problem, in short, is not the NSFW content, but it's the kids that follow him. Because how the hell are they supposed to know something inappropriate is supposed to appear when there's no prior warning, or indication, or kind of character in most of his videos that would signify that. Like, I'm sure a lot of people, including myself, were surprised that he actually kind of went through with posting those things. Luckily, I wasn't on Twitter at the moment, so I didn't get fucking face planted with his ass cheeks, but yeah, that could have happened, and I am very much scared of that happening. I'm not following him, so that's fucking great. I really hope nobody I'm following is, because then I might get bombarded with fucking balls again. I didn't even have to look it up. I just went on his Twitter, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought he would have deleted that shit by now. That's why I looked. I'm like, he couldn't have kept this shit up. He did. He kept it up, and he's proud of it for some reason. I'll fucking write then. But yes, he also made a cum lube review. Do I even need to go into detail about how fucking stupid this is, or does this kind of explain itself? And if you look in the kind of related video section, there's a lot more content like this. I haven't actually clicked on them, but I'm assuming from the thumbnails and from their channel names that their audience is probably a little more mature. I like how PK Russell just goes from fucking Sonic the Hedgehog cringe, and then he's just like, hey, let's review some cum lube. So today we're going to be pouring cum lube on stuffed animals in front of a ton of impressionable kids who for some reason accidentally clicked on this video, or on purposefully did because they didn't think something was going to be in it that was terrible. He claims that he age restricted it. YouTube age restricted it. I mean, look, you can't lie about this, Parker. You can't lie about this. There is nothing that you can hide at this point? Just come forward, just tell us everything bad you've done. We're gonna find out. I mean, Jesus, with like a few days of research, and I basically know this guy's fucking search history, or at least can predict what's happening next. Gay, furry, underage, yow, fucking blood, gore, scat porn, or what the fuck ever you want to call it. Foot fetish gone extremely wrong. You name it, I'm sure he's into it. But yes, the point is, what the actual fuck? Surprised it took people this long, and it's kind of scary it took this long for people to finally realize that something was wrong. Now, for kind of a final segment, I just wanted to get into the details of the amount of irony the situation has in it. This guy basically became the very thing he swore to destroy. It's kind of karma, let's be honest. For putting all these other people down, watching their channels decline, and then using their audience to boost his own ego and channel. I feel like, in a way, he almost deserves it. It's still sad to see a creator lose this much attention and be hated on. Basically, what he signed up for was to make fun of people and make them the laughingstock. And yet, in the end, in an ironic twist of fate, he's the laughingstock now. So, in conclusion, this video has been such a long video. It's longer than I thought, and that is what she said. I'm not even gonna lie, alright? Or he. I ain't homophobic up in this bitch, you know what I'm motherfucking saying? Skirt! Anyway, hopefully you guys, girls, and everybody in between did enjoy this video, and if you did, feel free to smash that like Chris Brown beat Rihanna. I mean, wow, I did not look very good. That is an old joke. I need to make up a new one. Actually, that isn't really a joke. That's domestic abuse. Don't hit women, please, or anybody, actually. So yeah, I really hope you guys, girls, and everybody in between did enjoy this video. I really think we deserve a part 2 on this, or actually a part 4. Essentially, 2 years ago, I made a couple of videos on PK Russell as well, if you would like to check those out. The links are up wherever the I button is, you know, the little button, the circle with the letter I in the middle, is wherever that is, and it should pop out saying PK Russell videos in the past or something. Probably not that, but you get the point, right? Rate, comment, and subscribe. I guess this is 2008 YouTube again. Yes, I'll see you in the next motherfucking video. Yeah, yeah. And part 4 of this video. Woo! See you later.